don't like the cat's arms.
Bertie's licking Stevie, who's licking you. Giving you a proper groom.
Ah, Steve, you're so rough. He's fucking can't do it anymore. No, it's getting too wet. No. No, no, no. No.
Hey Bert. I was going to do a follow-up video to the food paralysis one, the last video I did, to talk about paralysis and like indecisiveness in supermarkets and with food shopping, because I just didn't have time to do it in the last video. Where are you going? And then yesterday I went to get my nails done, and it kind of reminded me of how indecisive I used to even be, like choosing my nail colour. And I kind of realised like I was actually indecisive about so many things. It wasn't just food, like I was just petrified of getting anything wrong. I wanted everything to be perfect. And my psychologist has spoken to me in the past about like a common trait with eating disorders being an intolerance to discomfort. Traits of being like harm avoidant, safety seeking, and therefore trying to like control everything and like hating any kind of uncertainty. And like with my nails, I felt like I couldn't cope if I made the wrong decision or like got it wrong. Like what even is wrong? It's a nail colour. And that thinking is like so lacking in perspective. Like even if I did choose the wrong nail colour and I didn't like it, like so what? I'll just get a different colour next time. It's really not the end of the world. There's so much more to life than the colour of my nails. Yeah, with being starved and restricted, that like probably underlying trait that I have of being a harm avoidant person was just amplified and extended across every area of my life. Like even trying to decide things like when was I going to have a shower, I'd be like planning them out for the full week and like writing it down, making lists of everything I was going to do at every time of day. Everything I did just felt like the biggest decision ever. I was so petrified of getting anything wrong. And yeah, I was just so intolerant to any kind of discomfort. And it's something that's gotten a lot better in my recovery. Like partly I think just spontaneously from not being starved and not being restricted, but also partly from working on it. Just thinking like, so what if you make the wrong decision? So what if you don't like something? So what if you feel a bit uncomfortable or things don't feel perfect? It really doesn't matter. Like there's a lot more to life and you can make a different decision next time. And the same thing with food. Like, so what if something goes wrong, if your food's not perfect? It's not a restricted resource. Like if you have something you don't like it, have something else. You'll have had it yesterday, you'll have it again tomorrow. Like you're eating enough generally. It's not as precious when it's not limited. And so when you allow yourself to have food in like the quantities that you want and the variety and the frequency that you want, it takes a shit ton of pressure off it when you do have it, because each thing that you have isn't like the most valuable and precious and important thing in your day. Like it's a tiny part of a much more varied diet and a much more varied day and a much more varied life. Look how Stevie's lying. Right, so thinking about the supermarket, which is what this video was actually supposed to be about, I had a really love-hate relationship with the supermarket. Like, I loved it because I just wanted to be around food all the time. I honestly wanted to go every single day. As a teenager, I would actually just go and stand in the aisles and stare at the food, and then I would just pick up packets, like just to read the nutritional values, as if I was like getting a degree in calorie content, honestly. Like, I used to say that if I was on Mastermind, that would be my subject. But then I also hated it because I got so paralysed in there. Like, I would be glued to the spot trying to make food decisions. I couldn't just pick something up and choose it. I certainly could not be sent in for something quickly. Like, you know when people say, oh, just run in and grab this? Like, I was not the person to ask to do that because I couldn't just grab stuff. Like, I was so overwhelmed by all the food. I wanted to buy everything as well. Like, even if I was running in for one thing, I'd still end up coming out with like God knows how many things. And I'd even be in there like knowing I needed to leave, like someone's outside waiting for me, but I just couldn't drag myself away. Like I couldn't leave the food. Even trying to choose an apple, right? I would be weighing up like the brand of the apple, the cost, the colour, like the right amount of red bits or whatever, the right crunchiness. I'd want the shape of the apple to be right because of like the way that I would eat it, the right size, the right weight. Like I could judge the weight of an apple down to like a gram. What a fucking waste of time. Sorry. you know, like, it was embarrassing. If anyone was with me and I was there like studying apples, like, I didn't want to be doing that, but it was such a compulsion, like I couldn't stop myself. And I'd feel mad, like walking up and down the aisles, picking things up, putting them back down, going to another aisle, picking it up, putting it back down. Like, I really hated doing that, but I don't know, I was starved, like I couldn't stop myself. Hello, please can I have iced mocha and an iced caramel macchiato? Thank you. Speaking of just running into a shop to grab things, we have decided to have brie toasties for lunch, and we've got like the bread and tomatoes and whatever else we want to put in, but we don't have any brie, so I'm quickly coming to the shop to get some. Now, I'll literally just walk in, find the cheese, choose the brie and pay for it, and then we're done, and then we'll go home and make it. We've left all the shit out from breakfast. Is that taken care of? We do actually have some leftovers in the fridge. It's a stir fry. I think we had salmon stir fry for dinner one night. Leftovers used to absolutely torment me. I felt like everything had to be used, so I was obsessed with like, well, when are we going to use it? What meal will that be? And it wasn't just my own food. I was kind of like planning everybody's food. I'd be like, well, what's Bren having for lunch? And we've got that leftovers, so when will that get eaten? It was just so much control and obsession and like perfection over food. And yeah, trying to like balance all of these competing variables. And I feel like part of breaking the paralysis has been like forcing myself to let go of some of those variables, like take the pressure off myself, like, okay, leftovers do not need to be eaten up. And actually in our house, they rarely get eaten up, because I'm not gonna force myself to eke food out or to control it, or to eat something at lunch that I don't really want to eat from last night's dinner because I have to maximize on like, or minimize on waste. And I know like socially that actually sounds like a good thing to do, like, oh, you're so good with your waste. But these good things or healthy things are not good and healthy if you become obsessed with them. Like, they become toxic and you get an unhealthy obsession with doing the right thing. Even if it's like praised and encouraged and admired, like, it just was not good for me, and it wasn't good for the people around me. Yeah, I'd kind of like swung the pendulum so far to the obsessive extreme that I had to let it go and let it swing the other way of like, you do not need to use up leftovers. But then let it like swing back into the middle and find like some sort of balance. But still now, like, I really don't put pressure on myself. So like today we wanted brie toasties and that's what we're gonna have. And maybe there was a less wasteful option, maybe there was a cheaper option, maybe there was a less calories option, maybe there was a this, that and the other option, but those things don't guide my decision making and they don't control me anymore. And it was terrible for my mental health when they did, and for people around me. I think if you know that ultimately you don't want to be controlled by food, at some point you have to let go of those rules, you have to break those rules, break the cycle and do opposite actions to like all the shit that's up in your head. Feel shit and do it anyway. Like, if you ultimately don't want to be controlled by these things, at some point you have to say no. So you're acting in ways that you ultimately want to be able to act, even though it doesn't fit with like the rules you hold right now. Oh my god, this brie is so stinky. What do you want in with it, Bren? And get the mayo as well to mayo the bread. Do you want a piece of cheese? That's really stinky.
Bye.
Have we got that other big shit one in the fridge?
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
You want a baby juice?
Mm-hmm. No, put it in the
Oh my fucking Christ, you do it!
Burn, by the
Thank you
way.
for being irritated.
Tit, what is wrong with you? Oh, the bloody hardest things ever to cut. Bloody hell. Right, we're done. Now, how do you carry stuff? Just have to do that. I couldn't do the waitress thing where you...
Get up and dance. Get up and smile. Get up and drink to the ones that are gone in the shortest while. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I never knew you. We both went to different schools. In the day we won, you were chasing the girls.
My hair is so greasy today. Ugh, if only I had some sort of obsessive hair washing routine. Joking. Like, this is honestly what I feared when I had so much like control over everything, that something would go wrong. Actually, like, even if it does, it's not the end of the world. I'll either like put my hair in a plait, I do like a little side plait, or I can tie it up with like a headband ribbon thing. Yeah, it's really not the end of the world. After I spoke about things like choosing a nail colour, washing my hair, eating up leftovers, now I said a lot about like challenging it and breaking your rules, but also it is massively a symptom of starvation. At some point you can challenge your rules until you're blue in the face, but if you're still starved, your brain is still going to have a starvation response to these things. So a lot of things like my obsession of washing my hair, indecisiveness, desperate need to use up leftovers was actually a massive symptom of starvation, and it kind of spontaneously got better as I became unstarved. And this is documented, like, not just with eating disorders, but in the Minnesota starvation study, healthy, non-eating disordered middle-aged men who had like starvation imposed on them, they displayed those kind of behaviors like obsessiveness, indecisiveness, desperation to eat up leftovers and like lick their plates because they were starved, like their body was calling out for food. And like, I can actually remember one time I was in the supermarket buying sliced ham for the week, like to go into our sandwiches, and the guy who was cutting the ham was like discarding the like minging end bits of the ham and just chucking them into the bin, and I was horrified watching it. I was like, oh my god, don't throw that ham away. Like, looking back on it, it was actually the minging gross bits, but because I was starved, I was just like, I couldn't stand to see food go to waste. I guess because my body was so desperate for all food. Like, I'd have eaten those minging scraps of ham, I'd have eaten anything. Like, all my body wanted was food. It wasn't really caring about whether it was like gourmet, it just wanted food. So yeah, I think recovery is a combination of like allowing your body to find its own healthy way, getting to a place where you eat food unrestricted, challenging your food fears, your food rules, and all of these conditions imposed on food. But I could have challenged everything, but if I kept myself weight suppressed, I still would have been obsessed and eating disordered, because it's not natural. Like, no body just adapts to a state of semi-starvation. Why would it? Like, your body's job is to keep you alive and to keep you healthy, so it's gonna fight back. So yeah, I just wanted to say that so that what I'd said before wasn't like misleading. Yeah. Right, I'm back at the shop. I don't normally come this many times for like individual things, but like, obviously I'm doing it for this video. And yesterday when I was making lunch, I saw we were out of mayo, and that used to be such a massive source of paralysis for me. So I thought I would come and replace the mayo. And it's a shame because it's not going to represent how difficult it used to be for me. Like, I don't want to make it look easy now. Well, it is easy now. I can just walk in and pick it up and buy it straight away, but I have gone through so many times of trying to buy it with like crippling paralysis and picking all the different mayos up, looking at the packets, looking at all the costs. It's really been a lot of hard work to get to now. Honestly, now buying mayonnaise feels like as emotive to me as tying a shoelace would, or like charging my phone. Like, it's just not an emotional thing, but it used to be so emotional. So I've thought about some of the things which have helped. One of them at the beginning was actually just trying to get some help, whether it's from like a partner or a friend or a parent or a sibling. Especially early on, if there's someone who can just help you out and like take some of the decisions away from you, or take some of the opportunities away from your eating disorder, like that really helped me. I know not everyone will have that, but if it is an option, like that could be helpful. Also, writing a list can be really helpful, like so you're really planned before you go in, you know what you're going to get. It's a lot easier to think about like food decisions when food isn't actually there. But like with mayonnaise, if I knew what I was going in for, I knew what brand I was going to get, then I knew what I had to do. And then when I got the like barrage of thoughts of like, fuck the list, this is what you need to do, then I would find it better, rather than like negotiating with each and every thought that came into my head, I would try to like block the thoughts and be like, no, not listening to you. Even be like la 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 in your head, like not listening, this is what I plan to come in and get, opposite actions. Even though it feels shit, I'm just gonna do it. So it's that intolerance to discomfort again. Like, it's okay to feel a bit uncomfortable or a bit anxious, like feel shit and do it anyway. And remembering things like food doesn't have to be perfect. There aren't all of these conditions and parameters around food. What you're actually trying to do in recovery is to like rewire your brain away from all of those imposed conditions. So to do that, you actually need to break those rules, go against the thought in your head, do the opposite, and allow your brain a chance to relearn and reprogram and rewire all this stuff. And if you think about how many months or even years you've avoided whatever food it is in the supermarket, or chosen the lower cost thing, or done XYZ, whatever it is, it's probably really ingrained in your brain to do that. So it is going to take a lot of unlearning, and it is going to be difficult, but the more you do it and the more practice and the more opportunity your brain gets to rewire around like the new decisions, I don't know if I've said that very well, but it will. Your brain just needs a chance. It needs time and practice and opposite actions. And it feels really, really shitty to do that. But like, even thinking, what would you say to a friend? Like, you think your friend can't pick up mayonnaise, or your friend can't buy a more expensive version of something, or a higher calorie option, or a this or a that. Like, if you don't think other people need all these rules imposed on food, then you don't need all these rules imposed on food. So those things might help. Like, just go in, go straight to the thing you need to buy. Don't need to listen to every single thought in your head, like no thoughts, just pick up the thing you need. Like, even if there's a lower calorie version next to it, or a cheaper version, or a this or a that or the other, like no thoughts. This is what I came in to get. I'm picking it up, I'm buying it, and I'm done. Sorry, it's so loud when I record in the car, but it's getting really hot in Dubai now, so I have to have the aircon on. So I got it. I got really confused and I tried to hit the camera to focus on it, but I hit the mayonnaise instead. And I also picked up an iced mocha from Starbucks because it's next door to the shop, so why not? I really feel like there's so much freedom in letting go of food rules and food constraints, because you don't have to be like, is it the right time of day? How many calories is it? What have I already had for breakfast? When will I next be eating? Does it fit into my plan? Is it healthy enough? Is it this? Is it that? Which, if you just give yourself unconditional permission, like none of those things matter, because your food and drink doesn't then need to be like justified or worth it. Like, it's not a project that I'm getting graded on, or something that I need to win at or get right. Like, it just is. It's just food or drink. Like, it's just allowed unconditional permission. I feel like that can be quite difficult generally in society, because like, even without an eating disorder, there can be quite a lot of like rules and pressures around food, even down to things like, is it organic? What's the packaging? Is it environmentally friendly? What are the nutrients in it? Is it good for our friggin' health, like gut health or something? Certain things are like demonized, like whole food groups are apparently bad these days. Yeah, it's tough. And like, each of those variables are like already competing with each other. Like, organic is expensive, so if you've also got a thing about saving money, like, what wins? Those things are also competing with your own values. My values in life are kind of, I don't know, for things to be like fun, light-hearted. I like being able to be spontaneous and flexible, and I quite like that in other people as well. Like, if I look at Brendan, all the qualities in him that I absolutely love are quite like YOLO, fuck it type attributes. And then the things I don't value and that I don't want to be are like selfish, obsessed with food, caring about food more than other things in my life or other people. Like, that is not in line with my values, but following all those rules and conditions around food makes me those things. Like, these rules really are not compatible with the life that I want to live, or the person that I want to be, the wife that I want to be, the things that I value. And I guess for me, that was like a big motivator to change, like to unstarve myself, to make food unrestricted, and to break those rules that I had, which were absolutely crippling me. I don't know how much this video really was about supermarket shopping. Like, I realised it's actually quite difficult to film myself in a supermarket. I'd kind of thought I could have like chosen a meal like spaghetti bolognese or something, and then gone and like picked up all of the little bits, and then I feel like I look like a right nutter, but I don't know, maybe I could try and do that for another video. But until then, lots of love to everybody. Oops. Oh my God.